English. Why do we need English skills? Why are they important? And how are they incorporated into our everyday life? What are English skills and why do we need these? So English skills can be defined as writing, communicating, listening, reading, grammar, reading comprehension, speech, vocabulary, pronunciation and note-taking. When we say that someone speaks a language fluently, we usually mean that they have a high level in all four skills, which are listening, speaking, reading and writing. For some purposes, highly specialised jobs for example, these uneven skills may not matter very much. However, English is such an important skill in the global world and needed in so many different contexts that someone without a good ability in all four skills will greatly reduce the opportunities open to them in education and professional life. Why is English important? So listening skills help provide imagination. Speaking skills. When you speak, you get to know your mistakes and can improve yourself further. Reading skills help to improve vocabulary and concentration levels. And writing skills help us to get to know what we are writing and the spellings of words. Perfect communication. It is important to speak effectively. People get impressed by those who have good communication skills. Effective personality. When we speak effectively and with confidence, anyone can get attracted. Gain confidence. If you own good communication skills, then your confidence will automatically be high. Part of the global community. English language is part of the global world, so if one knows good English, then one can interact with others. Achieve your goal early. Effective English language skills help to meet your career goals quickly. And multiple career prospects. A person possessing effective communication skills have more career opportunities than others. How to improve your English skills. Learn 10 new words on a daily basis. Try to speak in English. Make a list of daily used English words and then use these on a regular basis. Watch English news channels, movies, series. Read English magazines, newspapers and novels. Anything that you find tough or that you don't understand, underline and then find its meaning in the dictionary. Participate in group discussions, this will give you more confidence. Try to make notes on a daily basis or start writing a diary. Practice speaking skills for 5 minutes in front of the mirror. Practice grammar exercises. Write an English story. Make friends who are native English speakers. And never feel shy while speaking. Nobody is perfect. One can only learn by speaking. So how is English incorporated into our everyday lives? SPAG stands for spelling, punctuation and grammar. Spelling. Spelling is the writing or naming of letters to make a word. Now I have two favourite spelling tricks that help. The I before E rule. The little rhyme that I remember is I before E except after C, but only when it rhymes with B. The second one is using memorable phrases, and my favourite one is because big elephants can't always use small escalators. There are a lot of commonly confused words, but here are a few. So are is a verb/doing word, and ow means belonging to. Of can mean not on, like the light switch is off, but of is a linking word. It joins a sentence together. Your means you are, but your means something is belonging to you. So you're going to the park, your coat. To can mean too much or too little, and to can mean towards, or it can be part of a verb. Too many carrots. We are going to the park. Their means belonging to them. Their bunny rabbit. There means they are. They are going to the park. And there means a location such as over there, or it is used to introduce a sentence. There is the park. Punctuation mark. So every sentence should start with a capital letter. Most sentences will finish with a full stop. Questions end with a question mark. And commas are used to separate things, for example in a list or joining two sentences together. Apostrophes show that a letter is missing, for example we are equals we're. Inverted commas are used for titles. Quotation marks are used around what somebody has said, so a quote, and colons are used for introducing lists. Grammar. Grammar can include writing in sentences, using sentences correctly, using joining words to add detail and link ideas, and using different verb tenses. So how do we use SPAG in our everyday life? Well, in any workplace, you write things. You do records, you do reports, or even if you're doing written work for your apprenticeship, you're still incorporating SPAG. When doing any kind of writing, your SPAG must be free from errors. This ensures you are writing to a professional standard. When presenting information within your workplace, you will also check your SPAG. For example, if you are creating a presentation for a staff meeting or training. Technology is common in today's society. We often use phones to text, email, or post on social media. These skills require a high level of SPAG understanding. Formats of writing. Information can be presented in a range of formats. These can include emails, articles, reports, letters, and leaflets. Emails. When emailing a company, make sure you are using a formal language. If you are emailing a friend, informal language can be used. You must include all of the right information and this must be structured correctly. At the beginning of the email, you will put the person's email address and a subject, normally a short, sharp, little bit of information about what the email is. Then you introduce the person, dear whoever. Underneath this, you write the body of the email, so what it's about. Then you close the email. Best wishes, kind regards, yours sincerely. Then you put your name and your signature at the bottom. Letters. If you are writing to someone you do not know, then you must start with a formal greeting, such as dear sir or madam, and end with yours sincerely. If you know the person's name, then you can finish the letter by saying yours faithfully. You must write formally and avoid any slang and abbreviations. Informal letters can be used for people you know well. These often start with the name of who you are writing to and end with best wishes. In an informal letter, you can be more chatty. Again, this must follow a structure. On the right-hand side at the top, you put your address and the date of the letter. Underneath this, on the left-hand side, you put the person receiving the letter's address. You then address them, dear, sir, madam, or their name. You then do an introductory paragraph, the body of the email, then you sign off the letter with a sentence or two, and then you put your name at the end. Articles. Articles often appear in magazines and newspapers. These are normally formal text that explain something to the reader. An article may try to persuade you with a point of view. Facts and figures are used in articles to help persuade the reader and make a formal point. Articles often use specialist words. For example, in a newspaper report, you might see the words eyewitness and statistics. Again, an article is structured. You tend to have the title, which tells you what the article is about, an introduction, the body, and then a conclusion. Reports. Again, reports have a structure, a purpose, a general statement, a description of aspects, and then a conclusion. Reports give the reader information and recommendations about something. These are formal and informative. They often summarize an issue. In the introduction, the issue will be explained. In the main part of the report, the issue will be summarized, and the important parts will be discussed. In the conclusion, advice and opinions about the issue will be given. Leaflets. Leaflets provide information or will persuade the reader to do something. The language and style of a leaflet suits the audience. It could be written formally if the leaflet is about a formal topic, such as fire safety, or more chatty language can be used if the leaflet is persuading the reader to do something, such as visit a museum. So how are formats of writing incorporated into our everyday life? Well, most workplaces, and in your personal life, you might use email as a form of communication. This could be to friends, to patients, to parents, other professionals, and again, these must be written formally and follow the correct format. It's also important in any format of writing that you are continuously checking your SPAG. Leaflets are often used to advertise or persuade the reader to visit a location or to experience an experience. Leaflets can be created in your workplace. For example, in a care home, you might persuade visitors to attend an open day. At a nursery, you might persuade parents to come for a stay and play session. And finally, letters. Letters are often written to advise or inform. You might write a letter to the local council to express a concern. You may write a letter to complain, or you might write a letter to apply for a new job. Presentational features. This can include headings, subheadings, bullet points, lists, graphics, captions, colour, different styles, size of fonts, text boxes, tables and glossaries. These can be included in any format of context or written work. Language techniques. This can include slogans. Slogans are a short, memorable phrase used in advertising. For example, for McDonald's, it's I'm loving it. Alliteration. This is where the words that are close together begin with the same sound. The rule of three. This is a list of 3 words used to describe something. For example, the film was entertaining, engaging, and exciting. Metaphors are a way of describing something by saying it is something else. For example, in the picture you can see Molly is such an angel. A simile is a way of describing something by comparing it to something else. In the example, it says she crept as quietly as a mouse. And idioms is a phrase with a set meaning. For example, running a marathon will be a piece of cake. How are presentational features and language techniques incorporated into everyday life? We use a range of these without even knowing when structuring your written work or even during writing. When creating text in a range of formats, for example, making a newsletter for your workplace. When creating resources to train others, such as presentations. And when conducting research and reading important information, such as legislations. Picking out the main point of text. So sometimes you do not need to read the whole text to find out the main points of it. We can often scan text, where we look for keywords and determine who, what, where, when, why and how. Each paragraph in a text has its own main point. The most important point is normally found in the first paragraph. Now we use this on a daily basis. We use it when we're searching the internet for research. We use it when we're reading a book or completing training or learning. And we read it when we're reading important information. So for example, legislation, policies and procedures. Using a dictionary. Dictionaries are used to look up the meaning of a tricky word. Words in the dictionary are listed in alphabetical order. This means all the words starting with A are listed together. You can see the example below. The number is the page number of the dictionary. Rush and rustle. So rush, this tells you that all the words between rush and rustle are covered on this page. If you want a word that comes before rush, you must turn to an earlier page. If you want a word that comes after rustle, then you must turn to a later page. How are dictionaries incorporated into everyday life? Dictionaries can be used in everyday life to help you spell a word. Dictionaries can be used to help you find a synonym. And dictionaries can be used to help you create any piece of writing or written work. How do you use your English in your everyday life? Thank you for listening.